Hello, my lovely Chet Chatters. Today we have a masterclass on prepositions, words used with multiple prepositions. Now, the focus of this masterclass is on competitive exams. These words appear in competitive exams and students are often confused that which preposition to use with which word in which context. So, today we have 46 such word combinations which are on your screen, okay? You want to go through each one of this. This is just not, I'm just not going to list out the words and their meanings. I've seen a lot of teachers are going to teach you like that. They're just going to tell you this means this means this, okay? The lesson that we are doing today is very different. We're going to understand in a very deep and intuitive manner so you can build your own gut feel for each of these prepositions without having to memorize any of them. Okay, so this one single class is going to make you a pro at prepositions in one shot. So let's get started with today's masterclass. Prepositions. What are prepositions and what are their unique characteristics? Prepositions are like the GPS of sentences. They show the relationship between a noun pronoun and another word. They connect words by answering the questions where, when, and how. Here's a quick summary table. Prepositions, you know, they can show place by answering where, time, when, direction, where, manner, how, and sometimes even purpose, why. So one important thing which is like the basic ground rule of prepositions is that prepositions will always have an object. What do we mean by object? The cat jumped onto the couch. Couch is the object. He laughed at the joke. Joke is the object. Now we know that a preposition is a word that shows a relationship between a noun or a pronoun and another word in a sentence. So what is the object? The object of this preposition, what is it? It is this noun or pronoun that follows the preposition and completes its meaning. She traveled with her best friend. Friend is the object. The object is what the preposition is referring to or connecting to the rest of the sentence. Now look at these two sentences. He fell down. Where did he fall? Down. He fell down the stairs. It shows the relationship between fell and stairs. It again answers the question where? Down the stairs. Now both adverbs and prepositions are answering the same question, where, when, and how. So what's the difference between them? Remember, prepositions will always be followed by an object, a noun or a pronoun. So in the second statement, down is a preposition. An adverb does not have an object, it stands alone. So in sentence number 1, the word down does not have an object, it stands alone and is an adverb. Okay, she walked up the stairs. Up plus stairs is the object, so it's a preposition. She walked up, no object, just describing the action, walking, so it's an adverb. Now, before we look at words used with multiple prepositions, and we have 46 such words, we need to understand that prepositions is a vast topic. We will need multiple such masterclasses to complete the entire course. We already have 2 lessons. One is a masterclass on 25 prepositions, where the meaning and usage of 25 basic prepositions was explained. The second one was a quiz. Here some common mistakes with prepositions were discussed through a quiz. Now what are we doing in today's session? We are building on these basics. So make sure that later you go back and you watch those sessions, to get a complete understanding. But now let's go on to the first set of words that are used with multiple prepositions, starting with angry. Okay, first we have angry with. Now with is a word that indicates with some person, like together with. I'm going with my friend. I'm talking with my friend. With means with someone. So angry with is used when you're feeling anger towards a person. She was angry with her brother for using her toothbrush to clean his sneakers. Gosh, I would be hopping mad if someone did that to me. I'm angry with my friend for forgetting my birthday, but eventually I'll forgive her. Okay? So angry with means angry with a person.
Harry Potter mustn't be angry with Dobby.
Angry at. Feeling anger towards a specific situation or thing, like a non-living thing. The pronoun at is used for something specific, like at noon, at home. So being angry at something means to be angry at a specific thing. He was angry at the vending machine for eating his money again. When the anger is directed at some specific situation or thing, I'm angry at this traffic jam for making me late to work. Next is angry about. When you feel anger regarding a broader issue, not a person, not a thing, but a topic, an issue, a policy, a decision, or a problem. About usually reminds me of a roundabout, and in most cases it has a meaning also somewhat like that. About a matter, around the matter. It's more about the issue itself than the person or a specific action. They were angry about the decision to cancel free coffee. Now, they were angry with the management, but they were angry about the decision to cancel free coffee. He's angry about the fact that his favorite pizza place stopped delivering after midnight. That is quite a tragedy.
I think I'm really angry about a lot of stuff.
Next is angry over, similar to angry about, but often used for more serious or prolonged issues. When we use the word over, as in over and over again, we mean that something is repeating or continuing for a long time. In the same way, when someone is angry over something, that anger is tied to a significant event or an ongoing problem. She's still angry over the way her promotion was handled last year. They're still angry over the time I borrowed their car and returned it with an empty tank. It was just one time, but they're still angry over it.
I know that you people are still angry over Euro Disney. But please don't take it out on me.
Now here is a summary table of the 4 prepositions used with angry and their meanings. And now a quick shout out, and this week shout out goes to my dear Telgona. I'm so glad that you're coming out with flying colors in your English exam and you're loving it too. God bless. And if you want a shout out in my next video, you know what to do. Leave me a comment below. Make sure you include the hashtag ChetChatters. And our next word that's used with multiple prepositions is agree. Okay, first, agree with. Agree with is to share the same opinion as someone. Again, the word with means someone or some idea. I agree with my mom that pineapple on pizza is a crime. Agree with a person. Do you agree with the idea that vulgar influencers should be banned? Agree with an opinion. Do you agree with that? Leave a comment below. Agree to. Agree to is usually followed by agree to do something, to accept or to consent to something. So imagine that someone asks you to do something and you say yes. You would say that you have agreed to do that thing. I agreed to babysit my nephew, but only if he promised not to turn the living room into a zoo. The feeling you get when you read this sentence is that probably the parent requested her to babysit her nephew and she agreed to them. I agreed to go to the gym with my friend, but now I'm hiding in the parking lot eating donuts.
Why would he agree to this meeting?
Okay, Next is agree on. Agree on is to reach a mutual decision. We agree on a topic or an issue. It's about finding common ground. We finally agreed on the Netflix show after arguing for an hour. Spoiler, we watched none of them. My parents agreed on a budget for the wedding, but my mom keeps adding just one more thing.
Don't write the location down till we all agree on it.
Agree upon. Agree upon is similar to agree on, but it's slightly more formal. It's used when parties sort of formally decide on something. It's often used in legal or informal contexts. The terms of the agreement were agreed upon by both parties. We agreed upon a price for the car, but then he tried to haggle again.
A lot of conditions that we would need to agree upon.
Here's a summary table of the 4 prepositions with agree and their meanings. Our third word, which is used with multiple prepositions, is apologize. Apologize to. Now it means to say sorry to someone. To as a preposition has direction and talks about a destination. So apologizing to someone is about directing your apology to a specific person. Now, this is used when you're addressing the person whom you have wronged or whom you have made upset. I apologize to my cat for forgetting her dinner. She glared at me like a tiny furry judge. He apologized to his teacher for being late to class.
You go apologize to your sister and then come back downstairs for breakfast and apologize to me.
Next we have apologize for. To say sorry for something you did. Now for as a preposition is usually used to indicate purpose. Apologize for what? For a mistake. I apologize for eating the last slice of pizza because my roommate cried for like 20 minutes. She apologized for spilling coffee on her co-worker's laptop. You can also say this as she apologized to her co-worker for what? For spilling coffee on their laptop.
I really just came to apologize for missing rehearsal.
Next is apologize over. To apologize for something significant or serious, often an ongoing issue or problem. Just like we say over and over again. In the same way, apologize over is used for a prolonged, long-standing or serious context. Often it's used for events that have lasting consequences. The company apologized over the data breach that affected millions of users. The CEO apologized over the company's failure to meet its goals. Notice how angry over and apologize over both have the implication of something serious, a prolonged issue, an ongoing matter. Okay, next is apologize about. This is similar to apologize for, but often used for more general and less serious issues. This is used when you're apologizing for something that's not a specific action, but like a broader situation or topic. Remember, I told you about was roundabout. So a broader issue, a problem or a situation. I apologized about the mess in the living room. It was my dog's fault, but I took the blame. She apologized about the delay in responding to the email.
I wanted to apologize about not making our appointment.
Now, you can see the subtle meanings of each of these words and how beautiful the English language is. Okay? Here is a summary table of these prepositions that were used with the word apologize and their different meanings. Now, our next word that is used with multiple prepositions is anxious. Let's look at anxious to. Anxious to is like you're eager or excited to do something. It actually has a positive sense of anticipation. It's used when someone is looking forward to an action or someone is looking forward to an event and can't wait to do it with a sense of direction. To as a preposition has a sense of destination and direction. So when we say anxious to, this has a positive meaning. They're actually excited about something. All other words that we're going to learn with anxious actually have a negative connotation of anxiety and stress. Example, she's anxious to start her new job and meet her colleagues. He's anxious to try the new restaurant that just opened downtown.
With Christina stuck in bed, Vicky was anxious to get back to Barcelona and in no mood to sightsee.
Next, let's look at anxious for. You're worried or concerned about something or someone. Now, the preposition for is used for the intended recipient. Example, these flowers are for you. So, anxious for, when you're anxious for someone, it's used in the same way. When someone is concerned about the well-being or outcome of another person or situation. She's anxious for her son who's traveling alone for the first time. He's anxious for the success of the project as it's his first time leading a team. Next, let's look at anxious about. Now again, you're worried or nervous about a larger situation or event. About, once again, in the roundabout sense, talks about the issue, the problem, the situation, or the event. So you would be anxious about a broader issue, a problem, not a specific person or an action. Okay? She's anxious about the upcoming exam and has been studying non-stop. He's anxious about the presentation that he has to give tomorrow.
I'm anxious about my speech, I suppose.
Anxious over. By now you're getting the idea. The word over is often used for a more serious or prolonged issue, something like a problem. Just like we did angry over, we did apologize over for a serious or a prolonged issue. The same way, anxious over is used in the context of a larger or an ongoing issue. How we say mulling over in English, which means you're thinking over something for a long time. She's anxious over the upcoming surgery and can't stop thinking about it. He's anxious over the financial stability of his family. Now, I'm trying to give you this intuitive feel for English. What most teachers do is that they just give you the word and they just give you the meaning and they give you a table. And how are you going to remember hundreds of words? So what I'm trying to do in this session is I'm trying to build your own intuitive powers about English words, your own gut feel. So next time you see about, over, for, to, you will easily be able to relate to their meanings and their usage. Anxious at. You're feeling anxious in a specific situation or place. Remember, the preposition at is used for a specific place or time, at the moment, at this point, at 5 a.m. The same way, anxious at is usually used with words like anxious at the thought or anxious at the idea of, when anxiety is related to a specific context. She's anxious at the thought of speaking in public. He's anxious at the idea of flying. So he always takes a train.
I only get anxious at midnight.
Now, English is a beautiful language. It's very nuanced. It has layers below layers. So if you see the subtle differences, okay? He's anxious about flying. Here, flying is a larger issue. It has more long-term implication. He's anxious at the thought of flying. The thought is more specific. Hence, we use at the thought of flying. He is anxious to fly. Again, we have a positive meaning. He's actually excited and eager to fly. There's no worry, there's no anxiety like the previous three meanings of the word anxiety. So here it is, the summary table of the multiple 5 prepositions that we've used with the word anxious and their meaning. Our next word that we're using with multiple prepositions is blind. Blind to. You're unwilling or unable to see or accept something, often due to ignorance, denial, or bias. Blind to is used when someone is metaphorically blind to the truth or to a fact or to reality. She's blind to her own flaws, but certainly everyone else can see them clearly. They were blind to the risks of their investment until they lost all their money.
In this courtroom, Mr. Miller, justice is blind to matters of race, creed, color.
Blind with. This is used when someone is so consumed by an emotion. It could be anger, love, jealousy, that it affects their judgment or perception. In the previous examples, we saw that whenever we used with, it meant with someone else or with something else. Here it means with some emotion. She was blind with rage when she saw that her dog had eaten her homework again. He was blind with excitement when he saw the sale at his favorite store. He went and bought 10 pairs of shoes that he didn't need. Blind with love. After all, love is blind, isn't it?
You're so blind with hatred, Mr. Aiken, you can't even see the truth.
Blind in. It means physically unable to see in one or both eyes. This is used to describe a physical condition of blindness, often specifying which eye is affected. Tiger Pataudi was blind in one eye after a car accident, but he continued his cricket career, playing 46 tests and captaining India in 40 of them. The cat is blind in both eyes, but it navigates the house like a pro.
I'm legally blind in my left eye, and I've thought about the human eye because of that ever since.
Blind from. It means the cause or origin of someone's blindness. From as a preposition is used to talk about the origin or source of something. Now this bottle is made from plastic. So blind from is used to explain why someone is blind. What was the source, the cause or the origin of that blindness? You're often going to be talking about the event or the condition or the injury. Helen Keller was blind from an illness that she contracted at the age of 19 months. The dog is blind from old age, but it still wags its tail when it hears its owner's voice.
When I was 10, my parents died, and I went to go live with my grandma Perky, who once went almost nearly blind from a gnarly case of athlete's foot.
Okay, our next word used with multiple prepositions is care. Care of means to take responsibility for someone or something, often temporarily. The preposition of is used to show relationship or belonging, like how we say friend of mine, cover of the book. In the same way, to take care of someone means to take responsibility for someone in a sense of belonging or relationship. While I'm on vacation, my neighbor will take care of my plants. The package should be sent to John, care of his office address. We sometimes write this as CO, meaning care of. I left my cactus in the care of my roommate and now it's dead. I didn't even know that cacti could die. Care for. Care for means to look after someone or something, often implying affection or responsibility. For is used for intended recipients, like this class is for you. In the same way, I care for you means that I'm providing physical or emotional support to you. Care for can also be used to express a polite offer or a preference. Example, he's been caring for his elderly mother for years. I really care for my plants. Would you care for some chai? Polite offer. She doesn't care for spicy food. Preference.
I lose interest in a man as soon as he begins to care for me.
Next is care about. To feel concern or interest in someone or something. Once again, the word about, think of it as roundabout, is always about a larger issue or outcome. You're not directly caring or taking care of anyone, but you're involved or concerned about something in a broader sense. Example, I care about the environment and try to recycle as much as possible. I care about my plants so much that I talk to them. They're not growing, but at least they become good listeners. She really cares about her students and their success. Okay, here are two sentences. The teacher cares for her student. The teacher cares about her students. What's the difference? There's a subtle difference. When we say care for, it actually means to show caring, to show concern, to look after them. But when we say care about, it means she's concerned about them in a broader sense. She may not directly be caring for them or feeding them or giving them medicines, etc. But she wants to see them do well, to grow and to learn well in general. Can you see the difference?
Yeah, I don't care about that stupid stuff.
Okay, next we have care to. Care to means to be willing or interested in doing something. It's often used in polite questions or offers like, would you care to join us for dinner? This is a polite invitation. I wouldn't care to repeat that experience. Oh my God, it was horrible. Care to explain why there is a goat in the living room? Polite, but slightly sarcastic.
Would you care to leave your phone number?
Our next word used with multiple prepositions is call. Call on. Now, call on has three different meanings. It could mean to visit someone, to ask someone to do something, or to appeal to someone, like for help or for support. It's used in formal as well as in the formal context. Example, I called on my neighbor to borrow sugar, but she gave me a lecture on healthy eating instead. It's like I visited, I called on, I knocked on the door, like called on means literally visiting somebody. The teacher called on me to answer the question. She asked me to answer the question. The president called on the public to remain calm during the crisis. Appeal to the public.
Well, you told me to call on you if I needed help.
Call off. It means to cancel something or to stop an activity. Similar to switch off and cut off. Call off means to stop something. This can be used for events, plans, or actions. They called off the wedding at the last minute, which means they cancelled it. The match was called off due to bad weather. Stopped.
Well, I'd say you could call off your search.
Call for. Now, call for again has three meanings. To demand or ask for something, to predict that something will happen, or to say that something deserves a result or prize. Now, for is used for purpose, remember? So we call for a specific thing or action when we need or want that thing for our purpose. The situation calls for immediate action. It requires immediate action. The recipe calls for 2 cups of sugar. That's a lot of sugar. Requires 2 cups of sugar. The protesters called for better working conditions, demanded. The weather forecast calls for rain tomorrow, predicts. The achievement calls for a celebration. It deserves a celebration.
Do you know a number of a doctor I could call for advice, or a nurse even?
Call in. Now again, there are 2 different meanings of call in. This is used when someone is asked to come somewhere, like in a meeting room, or when someone contacts someone else by phone. Now that could be either to a place of work or to a place of authority. Let me explain with examples. The boss called in the entire team for an emergency meeting. Said, come into the room, emergency meeting. I called in sick to work, but my boss saw my Instagram post from the beach. Oops, this is about a phone call. They called in an expert to fix the problem. You're requesting help.
When did she call in sick?
Next we have call out. To shout something, to challenge someone, or to publicly criticize someone. This is used in literal context also and in figurative context also. Meaning you can either call out something literally, or you can point out something or someone without actually physically calling anything. Let's see. She called out his name, but he didn't hear her, which means you're actually shouting. He called out the teacher for giving too much homework. He didn't actually call, he just challenged the teacher. The journalist called out the politician for lying, which means publicly criticize the politician. Next, we have call up. Call up has three meanings: to phone someone, to summon someone, for example, for military service, or to recall something from memory, like recall up. We also say ring up. To ring up a friend, or to call up means to phone them. I'll call up my friend and see if she's free tonight. He was called up for military service last year. He was summoned. The smell of cookies called up memories of my childhood, like recall.
Just call up Harvard and ask for a copy of his transcript.
Cool. Our next word used with multiple prepositions is fall. Fall on. This has three meanings, like to land on something, like actually fall on something, to happen on a particular date, or to be the responsibility of someone. Let's see. The cake fell on the floor and the dog had the best day ever. It's literally like fell down. My birthday falls on a Saturday this year. It happens on a date. The responsibility for the project fell on me. Sometimes people write this as the responsibility fell on my shoulders, literally making it seem like all the responsibility came from my boss and it just landed on my shoulders. After losing his job, he fell on hard times and had to sell his house. This is an idiomatic expression and it means he experienced difficult financial times. Okay, fall off. Fall off has two different meanings: to decrease in quantity or quality, or to physically drop from a surface. Think of it in terms of either a decline or a physical drop. Sales have fallen off since the new competitor entered the market. It means sales have decreased. The apple fell off the tree, physically dropped. The preposition off means physical separation, like take your shoes off or I fell off the chair. So her performance fell off after she stopped practicing means it like tumbled down, declined in quality. Fall for. Now fall for again has two meanings: to be deceived by someone or to develop strong feelings for someone. This is used both in the negative sense, deception, and in the positive romantic context. He fell for the scam and lost all his money, which means he was deceived by the scam. She fell for him the moment she saw him, means she developed feelings for him. He fell for her joke about being a secret agent. She was actually just a librarian.
Don't fall for his bullshit.
Fall out. Again, there are two meanings: to have a disagreement or to drop from a place. Now, it's used both in the literal sense and in the figurative sense. Let's see some examples. They fell out over a trivial matter and stopped speaking to each other. Fell out in this case means they disagreed. The keys fell out of my pocket, like literally they came out of the pocket and fell down. Next is fall through. To fail to happen or to break down. This is used to describe plans or structures that don't materialize, and they collapse. Like you can imagine this as something breaking and crumbling down through, falling through the roof. Our plan to build a tree house fell through when we realized we were scared of heights, which means it failed to happen. Talks between the two leaders fell through recently. Do you know which two leaders I'm talking about? It means broke down.
I'm confident the deal will fall through.
Fall apart. Fall apart means to break into pieces literally or to emotionally break down. Again, this is little figuratively. It's often, fall apart is used for relationships, systems or objects that break down. Now, important thing is fall apart is used for things that were once whole and functional and they are now breaking down or failing. It could imply internal failure or disintegration. I'll explain. The old chair fell apart when I sat on it. I'm not that heavy, but it fell apart. It broke into pieces. She fell apart after hearing the bad news, which means emotionally the heart was just breaking. Their marriage fell apart after years of arguments. The relationship failed and broke apart.
I've got to rest before I fall apart.
Now we did fall through and we did fall apart, and it seems like they're a bit similar, but there is a very subtle difference between these two. Fall through is used when some plan or structure collapses due to external factors like weather, lack of funding. You use it for plans, talks and agreements. Fall apart is used for something that was whole and now it's breaking down, often due to some internal factors like a conflict or a fight or something. It's used for systems, relationships or structures. Next we have fall into. Fall into has two meanings: to begin to be in a particular state or condition, or to physically drop into something. Again, one of the meaning is literal, one is figurative. He fell into a deep sleep after the long journey. He began the state of deep sleep. The cat fell into the pond and got completely wet is the physical drop.
Do you want to fall into the trap?
Let's look at fall behind, which means to fail to keep up with the others, to lag behind in the progress. This is used to describe, falling behind in your work or studies or a race. I fell behind on my emails and now my inbox looks like a horror movie. The runner fell behind after the first lap.
And you cannot, I repeat, cannot let production fall behind, not one little bit.
Next we have fall under. Fall under means to be classified under a particular category. You're not actually falling. Like this weird food falls under the category of things I'll never eat again. The area falls under the jurisdiction of the local council. Okay, here's a table on your screen with all the multiple uses of fall. And the next word which we are going to talk about, which is used with multiple prepositions, is lead. First, let's look at lead to. Lead to means to result in or to cause something to happen. It's used to describe like a cause and effect. Example, poor communication can lead to misunderstandings. Eating too much pizza can lead to a serious case of I can't move. Eating too much sugar can lead to health problems. It's like result in. Now lead to, remember the word to had direction or destination. So when you say it's leading to something, it means that it has a direction. This is leading to something else.
Well, self-help gurus like you sell a magical elixir that's going to lead to lifelong happiness without any work or...
Lead by. It's like setting an example to guide or to influence others through your own action or example. It's used often in leadership context. She leads by example, always working harder than anyone else. Alexander had famously said that an army of sheep led by a lion is better than an army of lions led by a sheep. A good leader leads by listening to their team.
We have to lead by example.
Lead with. To begin with something or to use something as a primary strategy. With always meant with something else. So lead with something in communication, sports or strategy, for example. He led with a joke to break the ice at the meeting. The boxer led with a left hook. In her speech, she led with a powerful statistic.
Can lead with pride.
Lead in. To be a leader in a particular area, industry or field. The company leads in water purification technology. They are the topmost and most innovative company in this field. This university leads in artificial intelligence studies. It's the leader in that field. Now the word into as a preposition has direction, like as if you're entering into a room. So similarly, when you're saying lead into the example, the speaker led into the main topic with a relevant anecdote. The first chapter leads into the main plot of the book. The guide led the group into the cave.
Would like to lead into the interview with some background about your father, your inheritance?
Lead on. Lead on means to deceive or mislead someone, often giving them false hope. There's a nuance. This is often used in negative context. It actually means cheating and manipulation and dishonesty. He led her on by pretending to be interested in a relationship. She felt hurt when she realized that he had been leading her on. So there it is, a simple and easy to understand intuitive masterclass on words used with multiple prepositions. I will share a link to our complete grammar course, which you should watch for all other topics. But I hope you're feeling good about these prepositions. If you want me to cover any other words and any other prepositions, leave me a comment below. And make sure you share this with your friends. Leave me a comment below and see you next Friday.